how do you make sure the A's don't flunk? Whole sales thing. Oh, you're sales guy. You must be selling mats at the door. I don't know if you're a buyer, you know it. Sometimes it feels like genuinely they're curious. Sometimes it feels like they're following a script.
I'm a big follower of Jeb Blount and Josh Brown. He's talking about his experiences with salespeople he meets at different Notion should not be visible to the prospect, which I actually call it in my world as commission breadth, irrespective of wherever you are.
Become the sales guy before hiring the sales leader or a salesperson.
Sure.
Or I don't know sales, I want sales in, but I cannot afford a sales leader. I'll hire some junior guy and say let him do it.
Sure.
And hoping it'll work.
Hope is never a strategy for anybody. It comes and asks me, what's your currency? So it's not Indian rupee or US dollar, right? So what is the point of hiring a 4 to 5 years of in-region sales guy, but does not have the grit? You study 10, you will be great. Complete your 12th grade, you're fantastic. You go ahead and finish engineering, life is settled. We have this settling mindset all the time.
Hey guys, great. This is the first episode of a sales series we're just starting on. I'm Prem, co-founder at Salesgear. Who we have today is Gerald, called alias Jerry. He's a sales leader, has been great success at Whatfix. He's having building an amazing team at Quizizz today. It is renamed at Wayground, yeah. So that's a very interesting. I just saw it on LinkedIn. But welcome to the show, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry, for having me, Prem. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So it's always every time I meet you, bump up to you in any event, right? I'm very sure when I leave, there is something new or some insights I leave out. It has, but it sparks the first question. I just try to keep it casual. Thing is, for a person who have been spent so long, right? And it always what happens is the more you experience you are. Leaving the touch of what is happening today, right? For example, people who have been tech leaders and saying AI is, they're not able to cope up with AI. Sure. And there are people doing really well. Sales is a little bit different. Sales is similar, but little different.
Sure.
Because the energy, ethos of customers, because buyers, right?
Yep.
The time when you started, your buyers were a different generation.
Sure.
And next, they were millennials you were selling to.
Sure.
Today, there are Gen Z leaders that you sell to also, right? Lot of them. And there are Gen Alpha leaders also coming up. So how do you adapt to what resonates with them? And another follow-up, just to follow up the second part of it is trying something new. I've always seen it because you feel like the more time you spend on a particular department or a job and you get a lot of experience and always trying new, that is the curiosity to build that, right? And try something it's not that easy, and it is like it's breaking, like you have come so far having whatever you've learned so far, and sometimes saying that you have to unlearn and relearn, right? So how do you adapt that? Because everything is new. It is not like the tactics that is on outreach on HubSpot or none of the things, right?
Sure.
And you get evolving. So how do you do that? Can you touch upon both the things?
So that's a great question, Prem. Thank you so much for that question. So I think, in terms of adaptability, before we address the adaptability part of it, it is very important for any salesperson, irrespective of whichever area they are coming from. If you're an SDR or an AE or a renowned sales leader, I think we need to get our basics right at the first place, right? You need to be really strong in terms of your basics. What is more important to you? What is your key strengths? What is your weakness? Because, it's a people game at the end of the day. You interact with a lot of people. You play along with them. You try to go ahead and convince them that there's a lot of things that are happening there. And then, you go for the kill, which is trying to go ahead and get the sales up front, right? So the basics part of it is something which I believe, someone should be really, really strong at. Okay. And in terms of the adaptability part of it, I think not just in sales, I guess, it is there in any industry for that matter of fact, right? Change is inevitable and, things are going to change. The people are going to change. The people's mindset is going to change. The culture is going to change. The technology is going to change.
Change is the only thing that never changes.
That never changes, probably, right? So there is no point trying to say that, hey, you know what? I closed $1 million deal in 2017. I think the best salesperson ever. No, it really doesn't work that way. If you take that salesperson and ask him to come ahead and replicate the same success with the same level of learning, it probably might not click as well. right? So it is very important to have this learning mindset and always learning mindset and keeping up a open mindset of, hey, you know what, I don't know this, I'm really interested to understand this. And this curiosity always talks a lot about you, when you're genuinely interested to learn somebody's business. And that has happened a lot for me in sales as well, right? We talk to different people. We talk to people coming from different walks of life, different industries, right? And I go ahead and tell them, hey, this is really interesting. How are you solving this problem? Please tell me, how do you do that? Irrespective of whatever age they are, or Gen Alpha or Gen Z, or it is probably a 50-year-old guy, who's doing something really exciting. We when you have the genuine curiosity to understand about somebody's life and how they actually perform and solve a particular problem or a challenge, it is just amazing, right?
But how do you? I mean, there's a lot of things, but I want to ask this, and again, follow up as well is it the genuine curiosity, right? We see it across, right?
Sure.
What are the one skill Sam Altman, if you ask me, in the AI world, is like curiosity, and that is very common. We see it because you just have to be genuinely curious.
Sure.
So, is it that you have to identify people who are genuinely curious, or how you can train them to be that, like? Especially on sales.
Sure, if you could probably train someone to be curious, and at the same time, I personally believe that is one note in your life which you really cannot fake it, right? You cannot fake to be a curious guy. It's either in you be a curious person, or you probably not. But for me, it is something like this, right? I come from Chennai, which is a very small a metro in India. A lot of IT booming were not happening, back when I started my career. But my curiosity has got me here.
So, just a context, when did you start your?
This was long way back in 2003, probably. That's when I started my.
Just after .com.
There was nothing. I have no plans as such.
Okay.
There was no plans, nothing. I didn't know, what I should be doing in life, what kind of organizations I need to work for, what kind of titles I need to hold. I never had a plan. And then forget plan, I never had a plow, right? So it's very weird, but I just go with the flow, see what's happening. But I personally believe the genuine curiosity what I had, when I meet people, when I meet my peers, when I meet a few people, who excel in a certain industry, talking to them to understand, what they have done, and then trying to see, okay, you know what, this is fantastic. This is really interesting, right? It's something that I never know. Probably, you'll never learn it out of a book as well. That actually matters a lot, right? And then see, okay, this is working out really good, and this actually makes sense, right? And then you automatically become a very, I wouldn't call it favorable, but that actually leaves a very good impression about you when you're genuinely interested and curious about certain things, and you ask that particular person on those questions. Like, hey, you know what? This guy is really interested. Maybe we should help him.
Right.
When that happens, when that good momentum happens across sales functions, across industries, across the people you meet. And at the end of the day, sales is all about being good with people, right? And being great with people.
Isn't being curious a part of the playbook? Making sure you reframe your questions so much so that your customers feel that your sales people are curious.
It has helped me a lot.
Okay.
That's not the initial plans. That was not the master plan. Okay, fine. I'm going to show that I'm curious, and I'm going to get their interest and get going from there, right? That was not the initial plan. But
just a counter, because I mean, just a follow up there. So you mentioned being curious, right? Even if somebody is curious and reaches to you, you're happy to help.
Sure.
And that is what any buyer, any person would do.
Absolutely.
And buyers know that salespeople are trained to do it. So as a buyer, let's say I'm a buyer, and I have people coming and asking questions. I don't know if you as a buyer, you know it. Is it sometimes it feels like genuinely they're curious. Sometimes it feels like they're following a script.
Okay.
Right? So you feel the questions are great. Oh, this guy is following some script. I don't really feel like he's genuinely asking. Sometimes you get a feel, because I get a lot of cold call also. Then how do you train your sales guys to fake it like actually they really felt the curiosity?
Well, I don't personally believe, one should eventually fake with regards to what they want us to talk, right? That's very difficult to do. is what I would say. Like, say, for example, in terms of the curiosity part of it as well, I will take Whatfix as an example, right? Oh, we were not doing a lot of SDR operations there, but of course, we were selling $1 million deals, right here from India. So what goes from a training perspective to my AEs is, I don't go ahead and train them, hey, talk exactly these words. This is a script. These are the qualifying questions that you need to ask. These are the probing questions that you need to ask. These are the closing questions that you need to ask. It really doesn't make sense, right? Because those questions differ from people to people, from industry to industry, from prospects to prospect. How is that going to, okay, there is no one size fits all kind of a deal at all. Now, in
But that is what Playbook is for, so that you
I
can
get it,
scale
but
it.
the way I look at Playbook is, you keep a structure of it, let's not call it as a GPS. Maybe you want to call it as a compass, right? So that you don't get away from what is your end goal is, but, you actually stand within those walls to ensure, you have a steady direction to move forward with. But at the same time, I'm going to leave that up to the AE. Now, here's the playbook that I would actually ask my AE to go ahead and do. I want them to go ahead and understand 3 primary, aspect from the prospect. One is with regards to the problem. Okay. Okay. It's an inbound lead. It's an outbound lead. It's whatever the lead it is. They have shown interest to your brand or the service or the product that you're sold with because they have some underlying problem. Okay. Now, how effectively you're going to go ahead and identify that problem at the first place? Okay. It can be anything, right? Okay, so maybe one person is coming and saying that, hey, Terry, you know what? I have 73 tools, that we use within our organization, and I don't think, it has been utilized properly. Now, that's the problem that the prospect is saying. It is very vague. It is just general. Now, a non-curious guy will say, or say, for example, if someone following the playbook to the T, they'll be like, oh, this is a problem. So as thousands of my prospects have already told this, I know the answer for it. I have a rebuttal for it. It's very simple. Agreed? Look, but how do you know that the prospect actually thinks that, what, this guy is really understanding my problem, and I think, we should be talking to him. So now what happens? I train my AEs, I train my sales force. Go ahead and dig a little bit deeper into the problem. Ask questions like how long they have been facing this particular problem, right? How many people's job, time, resources, money is being affected by these problems?
No, just to follow up, it's a great questions to dig deeper. But the problem is, sometimes it feels like extracting too much information. When I'm on a call, let's say I'm on a call, on a meeting, they starts asking questions, I can do, but it feels like they're trying to, it's still a qualifying question, right? Qualifying questions only. It is still the curiosity. It's still like, okay, he has not hit these check boxes.
Sure.
So I'm going to disqualify him.
Yeah.
Those kind of, that is difference between if I'm on a call and he starts asking, I lose interest. Okay, he's definitely not going to help. You're going to say qualify and disqualify.
Sure.
Or based on budget, authority, or whatever they have, right?
Yep.
But if he is curious, I mean,
Sure.
he would have totally different, like 73 tools, right? Like how many percent of them, let's say I'm a RevOps guy, how many, all the 73 are in RevOps only? And what percentage is it in the pipeline building, closure stage, and customer management? So you get that way. But how do you differentiate? How do you train your sales? We're just going into sales people. Doing is better. Better in terms of making sure you are, as you dig deeper, it doesn't feel like you're following a just questionnaire.
Sure.
Than being curious.
Sure.
How do you do?
So I actually, maybe I need to start working on trademarking few words that I use in my organization. But two of these main words that I use is don't give a discovery fatigue to your prospects. Right? That's like a driver fatigue, or, discovery fatigue is like, you're asking too many questions,
I already spoke to 2 people. I filled 2 forms
already. Wrong way to do that, right? So one thing is very clear, that I want to detach my sales guys from the sales motion itself. And I will tell you how that actually works. It's a very simple
you want to detach your sales guys from sales motion.
sales motions. And I will tell you how this action works, right? So my AEs, we are all trying to go ahead and sell and all of that, but I do not want my sales guy to be a sales guy, right? who is more interested with regards to closing the deals faster and getting the revenue home, right? That notion should not be visible to the prospect, which I actually call it in my world as commission breadth. Okay? Irrespective of wherever you are. You're in India, you're in China, you're in Sri Lanka, you're on a Zoom call, your prospect is in the US, in Chicago, in his home, in his, home office setup, and he's working. From there, he can smell your commission breath. This kid is trying to sell me something. True, right?
Yeah.
How does he figure that out? With your sales notions.
True. Yeah.
Hey, when are you planning to buy this? What is your timeline? Who is the decision maker in this? Why would you do all of that? Those are the questions, those are the commission breath questions. But I use this. I'm a Sandler certified sales professional. I did this at the long time back, back in 2017 or 16. And there's this great thing that I learned from Sandler is the negative reversal part of it, right? Detaching yourself from being the salesperson. And this is like an insurance policy before you start a conversation, right? So what do? I'm going to ask a ton lot of questions. I wanted to ensure these questions are not being directed in a way to the prospect that these are sales questions to them.
Exactly. That's why my question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So I tell them the negative reversal is like an insurance policy. So I tell them, boss, I know we are here to discuss about my product, a potential fit about how this is going to work out. But before we get into all of that notion, I wanted to understand a lot more about what you're facing today. And if it makes sense, and if my product can actually solve the problem, I'm happy. We will continue to have the conversation. If it does not, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to let you know I cannot solve the problem. Fair enough? So now what happens is, this is an insurance policy kind of a deal. So now what happens is, hey, I know we are here to discuss something. I know we are here to potentially find a middle ground if my product can actually solve the problem what you're facing. But if it does not, and anywhere in the conversation, if I find my product is not the right solution for you, I'm going to let you know about it, and that's what it is. Will that be okay? That is negative reversal. Now, what it does to the prospect is, the commission breath just, evaporates out of it, right? I have found sales guys, who has just wanted to go ahead and sell his product no matter what. And this guy here is telling me if it doesn't suit, he is not going to sell. Like, what is this?
Right.
So now I have detached it, right? And now when I ask my questions, I don't ask a lot of what or how questions, right? I wanted to ask a lot of why and open-ended questions where my questions are probably only 5 to 10% of them, but it is my prospect who has talked a lot and explained what he has actually gone through. That's where all my gong analysis and my call recording analysis comes up. Where my guys, my A's probably talk, maybe 20 to 30% of their talk back, the whole talk back. And the rest of it is actually the prospect who comes back and explains their issues and their problem statements and all of that.
The first demo call you're talking about.
Discovery call.
Discovery.
There's a discovery call. It is absolutely a discovery call where we wanted to understand where they are, what they are doing. I don't do band. I don't do, do you have a budget? Are you the right person to buy this product? I think there is no degrading questions than these questions, the bad questions, right? Like, say, for example, one sales guy walks up to you and asks you, hey, Prem, do you have the money to buy our software? Prem will be like, no, I'm sorry.
I don't have. I didn't.
Yeah, I think we get very confused, between, but during these process, you can also cover the band is what I'm saying.
Right.
When you actually,
But ask the right way. I want to get an interesting from you. Yeah, that's the whole sales point.
right? I mean, like, now it should not be a commission breath question, correct?
Correct.
Like, say for example, I'm a big follower of Jeb Blond. And Josh Brown, and I added, yeah, and if you go to Josh Brown's podcast, I think he keeps talking about his experiences with salespeople he meets at different malls in the US, like how Adidas people sell versus to that of Nike salespeople sell. You can actually find the difference. You might not be in the market, but it is a way that you wanted to be treated and discovering the problem when someone is trying to help you with choosing the right product. You need to get into that space,
Right.
rather than focusing on, and then these kind of things happen, right?
Right. So since you mentioned this is about making the prospect comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And the one you said, what did you call it? Negative
Negative
reversal. So I read about something. I don't know, is that the same name or a different name? Maybe you know it much better. Yes. You talk to a prospect and you say, no, you are not the right fit, right? And wait for them to come and convince you back.
Sure.
I don't know what is that strategy.
I'm not too sure if I don't think I'm that brave enough to go out and tell someone that, you're not my customer. I don't think I'm going to sell it to you.
No, throw an objection in a way that, so somebody comes on and so people's job, people are getting paid to buy things, right?
Sure.
They come inbound.
Yeah.
You use that strategy, whereas inbound leads come in, you say, you're not the right fit.
Sure.
Then it is in a way for them to convince you, like, tell me why.
Sure.
Tell me why I'm wrong. Something like that, so that they come back and convince. I forgot what is the strategy, but
I'm not too sure about that. But, so the way I frame my questions is, and it is very important that you showcase this empathy throughout your discovery call as well.
right.
Right? It is not like, if you're not a fit, I'm not going to sell my product to you or something like that. But I put it across in a different way. See, I wanted to understand your challenges better. And if I think my product will be the best solution for you,
Okay.
it's going to make sense for all of us.
Right.
If it's not, I'm going to be upfront and honest, and I'm going to let you know that probably we are not a good fit for the challenge and the problem that you're facing today.
Right.
But
What's the great way to put it?
Right. Now, what happens is, and this is very tricky as well, right? Now what happens is, see, today is 2025, and what you sold back in 2020 or 2018, it's not the same way of selling even today. Like, this particular prospect is probably talking to 10 different competition in the market today.
You're right.
Right after your call, he was probably going to go to your competition, and that AE who has also gone through a strict sales methodology training is also going to go ahead and ask the same questions what you asked.
Right.
They're probably prepared. They probably have a document of what they need to answer, what they should not be answering, and so many things. Right? So how are you going to uncover that is where your brilliance and where your strategy comes into place. Now, what happens is, when you go ahead and identify this problem, dig in deeper with this genuine curiosity part of it, coming back to it, and leave that impression with a prospect, irrespective of whoever they are. They might be a champion, or they're not the decision maker. They are probably a preliminary people, who's just trying to filter vendors or filter people that they can work out to, whatever it is. They talk to 10 different people. They have this impression in their mind that, you know what, I talked to 10 people, but I think Jerry understands my problem and challenge much better than anyone else. Irrespective of even if there is a great product out there, even if there is a bigger organization, who understands the market better, the salesperson has actually left a mark with that 30 or 45 minutes discovery call stating that I have this problem. I don't think I have explained this problem much better to another guy rather than Jerry. And I think Jerry understands my problem much better.
Right.
That impression is very important, right? So now what happens is, this particular person need not have to repeat their problem statements again. They don't have to repeat the nuances of the problem, what they mentioned again. You have to be very sharp at that end.
But since we are talking about the same lines, so I get on a call. I have a discovery call. Let's say somebody cold calls me.
Sure.
Let's say I've given context to her. Let's say I spoke for 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Sure.
And that moves to an AE.
Sure.
And let's say in a larger organization, we can have multiple calls.
Sure.
And he keeps changing with people. I got connected with Jerry with cold call. And the next person who comes on a call is somebody else. He's not connecting really well.
Sure.
Or he did connect. But what happens is, all this data goes to Salesforce or HubSpot, Azure CRM.
Sure.
End of the day, the person coming again is likely of asking those questions. Same repeat question. And I am like, this is not, this I call it as sales process fatigue, right? And not sales process, buyer's fatigue.
Sure, for sure.
And it is not buyer's fatigue. I'm evaluating multiple tools.
Sure.
I'm just talking to this guy, this say one company, and they are giving me fatigue. And every guy is doing the same fatigue. Like, how do you make sure that experience is frictionless?
It is a tough nut to crack on that front, right? Any organizations you work for. because they have.
Any tactical advice?
I actually try to go ahead and reverse it. I want to start from the customer itself, right? Or the prospect, that I'm dealing with, how effective and how better I can turn the whole sales experience for the prospect rather than our internal nuances here.
All right.
Right? Like, so, and we actually go ahead and implement processes, that are very, there are certain non-negotiables to that as well, right? When, see, a cold call is a cold call. It says 2 minutes, I think, you're being generous. I think, most of the cold calls, what I'm actually analyzing is less than maybe 45 to 50 seconds. 60 seconds, then it's a great call sometimes, right? So now what happens is we actually go ahead and send the recording. The process is built in a way we send the call recording to the AE. The AE listens to the call. The SDR is also being a part of that call.
The second call.
The second call. As a handoff. He need not have to be there for the entire 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is.
Just handoff.
But as a handoff. You go ahead and give that, handoff there. Hey, Mr. John, we talked the other day. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And this is a person, who is going, and I give them the script, make them feel a lot more better. And this person is an industry expert, with regards to what we wanted to talk about.
Right.
And he or she is actually going to take care of you from here on. And that AE does not go blind on that call as well. Right? They have information with regards to what this account is, where this account is coming from, where this particular ICP is coming from. All the research that the SDR has done has already been copied to the AE.
Right.
Correctly. And now the AE knows, also have listened to the call. Okay, what was a probing question, the hook question that the SDR asked, and what piqued in the interest for this particular prospect, and then you've actually doubled down on that. Right. You need to do very less selling. It is all about and more about the prospect to understand where they are, how they are today, and how better we can make them from here on.
Right. So this comes to, I mean, so on a high level as a strategic point, right? It's like an SDR is there, SDR will do the handoff.
Sure.
A is there on the call. A, we have sent, he's in all the email threads.
Sure.
You've sent the recordings. You've sent even the A analysis of the call.
Sure.
Putting your process, obviously, as a sales leader, that's my job, right? How do you make sure the A's don't flunk? Right? You understand? I'm talking about real life scenarios.
Sure.
Right? This happens.
Sure.
You might not be having a great day that day, or you may be a top guy, but that day may be as one of a day.
I'll probably detach a little bit from that question, and I'd like to tell you a story.
Okay, sure.
Okay. It's a very interesting story. I think I read it in some book. Unfortunately, I don't remember the book. It's about cross-industry learnings or something like that, right? So I think back in 1950s or 1960s, I think all over the world, globally, there were a lot of chaos in the medical industry, things were happening. There were a lot of medical errors, and the death toll was increasing because of medical errors itself. And the industry leaders came up to one place and decided, hey, what, we need to decrease these, right? We need to keep a check on the medical deaths, that's been happening because of the errors, what we have been doing. And then they figured out what can we do? What is the best solution that we could do? We are doing everything that we can, right? Doctors are doing everything that they can. Nurses are doing everything that they can. Hospital staffs are doing everything that they can. What more we can do, right? And then there was this, I don't remember who the guy is, but it's just a very nice story to talk about. And then there was this one guy who said that, you know what, I think, we all are thinking the same way because we are all from the medical industry. Why don't we take somebody from a different industry who is not related to the medical field? We'll take their idea of, how they can actually look into this issue.
A new pair of eyes.
A new pair of eyes, right? And then they got, a few kids who are coming from the aviation industry, right? From the aviation industry to understand how they look into this particular issue. And they introduced a solution called a checklist program.
Okay.
Now, where does this checklist coming from is actually coming from the aviation industry itself. See, running an aeroplane or a flight is not a easy job, right? No, it is a massive scale of operation. There should probably be zero error, no room for error. There's a lot of, so what happens is, from the ground staff to the flight engineers, to the pilot, to the air hostess and the airport staffs and everybody, they follow a process called the checklist process. It really doesn't matter what you feel today, how you feel today. You're here at work and you have a checklist in your hand, and your job has been printed out there on the checklist, and you check it manually. Can be digital right now. I'm talking about 1960s or 1970s, but you check it. If you have not checked it, then that job is not done. And we go back and go ahead and do that.
Right.
Very similarly, and they introduce that. And now with any hospitals you go, I'm sure, there is a lot of checklist programs that you see. There is not a patient bed without what the other doctor has actually talked about.
Right.
There's a lot of things, that's going to happen, right? Very similarly, I would like to go ahead and build a process very similar to that within my A's as well. There is a internal document where they actually go ahead and fill it. Like, say for example, if they have to fill in the notes, they will have to go ahead and have it in a certain template.
So this is the checklist you have just before the call, before the
It was pre-built. It is pre-built in the Salesforce. So my A is not going blind, right? He knows. Maybe the first few weeks of doing that will be a little bit difficult, but then after that, it becomes his muscle memory.
Yeah, right.
Right? So now there are non-negotiables. Have you listened to the SDRs calls? Check that on the CRM.
Right.
Okay. What was the hook that got the prospect in? Document that. That is very important for us. Have you documented it? If not, I'm going to go ahead and keep nudging the AE about it. And nobody likes to be in that position, right? And they go ahead and check that and have this clear documentation in CRM, in your Salesforce or HubSpot, whichever you're using. I think that's the process.
Right.
Now that becomes much more easier when you're a sales leader, right? Now there is a uniformity that you have created across different AEs, across different SDRs, and across different functions. You have all of these information at the same format that you need it, and you know for a fact that your processes has been followed to the T.
Right.
Leaving very less room for the A's to flunk, of not unaddressing certain areas, which is very, very important.
Right.
And as keeping a thorough check on it, right?
Right.
So
Do you have a since you having the checklist, right? How do you measure the effectiveness of checklist? Like, do you have like weekly calls and review? Like, what do you review? How do you review? Do you use review?
This is how my day starts, right? I start my day with an everyday stand-up. The stand-up is probably for 45 minutes. Sometimes it goes about 30 minutes.
So this is how many people on the stand-up?
I have about 19 to 20 people. Depends. But then we discuss about challenges.
Okay.
And I'm actually just doing that, right? And in the previous day, I will be looking at what has happened that particular day, how the documentation has gone through inside my CRM. Now, the next day, I know what I wanted to address. If somebody has not done a good job in terms of CRM hygiene, I wanted to go ahead and address that. What is the challenge? So it is not like a weekly ones or monthly ones or bi-weekly of any of that. It happens every day, if not probably twice or thrice a day as well. You keep reminding people about this. It becomes a muscle memory. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, got it.
Right, and then people will tune up to your face. People will tune up to your vision. Okay, this is what has been expected. This is the work ethic that I need to showcase for me to be successful.
Right.
And once they see that, it becomes a lot more easier.
Makes a lot of sense. So we talked about sales training, having a playbook for AEs, SDR handoff, cold calls, what do you do, how do you get curious? And the reason I'm touching upon all this is, let's talk about what is the average customer value you're closing. I mean, your history of closing.
Sure.
So the currently one that we are talking about, you're with Quizizz. You should talk about the process. Vagram. So what is the ACV like currently? Average customer value?
Our average customer is a PLG motion that we are in, and it's somewhere around, I would say, anywhere in the North Star of 6 to 7 grand.
Oh, 6 to 7 per year.
Per year.
Okay, got it. So it's the scale that most startups also built.
Absolutely.
Right. What size is Quizizz today?
Oh, we are about 250.
250 and
250.
Okay, so great. And yeah, obviously there's a lot of product driven adoption, so that's a great advantage for us to brand as well, right? Pet background and do it. So I think you will find, so where I'm coming from is as a founder's perspective, for somebody like me who's trying to build a startup and start selling to US predominantly. And you've been selling mostly to the US all your career now. And there are two things where you have a product and you're trying to get into sales, and you're a technical founder. Let's take that an example. Most startups, technical founder, they said, "Hey, for a great idea, I have Cursor, I have that tool, this tool. Let's we'll put in LLMs and build a tool." And they found a problem. They think there is a niche is there, there's an adoption is there, but we want to do sales. Sure. How do you start? Do you have? I mean, you worked with early stage startup founders, right? I'm sure. So, do you want them to go ahead, be the founder, turn into the sales guy, provided he doesn't have that background because he has context of the industry, the problem he's trying to solve. Become the sales guy before hiring the sales leader or a salesperson. Sure. Or just go find the right sales leader. Sure. I've not done any sales because I don't know, because maybe I had a sales leader and do it. Or I don't know sales. I want sales help, but I cannot afford a sales leader. Sure. I'll hire some junior sales guy, and say, let him do it. Sure. And hoping it'll work. Sure. Right. And see all these three patterns, real life scenarios, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've been a sales guy and worked with founders, early stage founders. Sure. What have you seen has resonated, as worked from your experience in all these three scenarios? Or any say, which scenario do you think has the odds of success higher?
I would say, see, one thing is, Prem, there is no one recipe for a sales success as such for an organization, right? Okay, this is going to work the best out of it. You don't decide this is my sales strategy and then build a company on top of it.
Wait.
You don't, reinvent your GTM function, because one particular customer closed and that's why I wanted to do that. Or definitely not the third option, what you said. I hired a couple of junior sales guys and I hope it worked. Hope is never a strategy for anybody.
Okay. Oh.
So I think if say for example if I would,
But that's a pattern I'm seeing very
because that's the easiest pattern to choose as well, right? Okay, fine. I just needed someone to go ahead and call into the US region. We'll see, if I can spark any interest. I wouldn't call it even as a sales initiative. Probably it is a validation metric, that any founder is trying to go ahead and do. Am I getting some kind of a notion? Am I getting some kind of a response from these prospects?
Right.
Just call. So, is this the right industry? No, just call. Right, I said, just call anybody. Call CEO, call Microsoft, Satya Nadella also, no problem. Right? But it doesn't work that way, right? We need to have a very a focused, laser-focused approach, with regards to what exactly you wanted to do. Like, say, for example, it all boils down, I would take your ambition or, a goal, target. A goal and a target is very, very important for a sales function. That's what drives sales altogether.
Right, but
right.
Just to follow up there is, like you mentioned, you need who you have to go after, right? So, when do you think is the right time to bring in sales? So that is my whole question. So I gave you three options, which is already happening today.
Sure.
It's the right sales because I'm early stage product. Rather than me, I know my niche. I build the product around that niche. I know this niche will have my problem. Sure. So I'm building something for medical devices.
Sure.
And who are having, let's say, a diabetes patient. Sure. So I want to find diabetic patients using medical devices out of the US. I have to target them.
Sure.
I know very specifically that is the tool I'm trying to build. And I'm not a sales guy.
Sure.
And I'm going to sell it to. What stage do I need the sales guy? So do I figure out, start selling? And when it becomes more effective in bringing a leader, right? Sometimes there's no product market fit. I've been a sales leader. This is not helping.
Sure.
Or maybe that is helping. It's going to give me access to a new industry, a new angle of business. There's a lot of things are there. So when would be a better time to approach as a business to get in the sales leader or the first sales hire itself?
So altogether, it once again, it's case-to-case basis, but I will probably take an example of one of my friend, who recently started a good AI startup. This is probably the year and a half, right? His is predominantly selling in India right now, but of course the aim is to go ahead into the US, right? So now it all depends, boils down with regards to if you're a SaaS organization, it all depends and boils down to how effective your tool has already been.
Right.
Right? Is it matured enough, for it to go ahead and do what it's supposed to be doing, right? And once that is there, and the very initial early stages of success from a sales front, maybe we will have a clear understanding with regards to what is your website traffic has been, how many leads you are able to go ahead and convert from your website, who is possibly becoming an inbound lead and trying to go ahead and get some interest out of it. Those things will take its own time, but will start to happen at very small scale.
Right.
At some point in time, right? But so that is why founders do not like to go ahead and rely only on inbound engines and website traffic, because they are super expensive altogether, and they would like to go ahead and find out, hey, if I can get a SDR who will do the prospecting and cold call 100 or 150 calls a day, it is going to make my brand reach, and I'm going to go ahead and get more sales. But are you ready? Is the product been ready? Are you ready for the market? Have you done your R&D with regards to this? Okay. I will just take Whatfix again as an example, right? With DAP as a space, you have so many players in DAP.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Digital adoption platform, you have so many players, right? And Whatfix is not a very old organization, right? When they started, you wanted to go ahead and clearly understand who your competition is going to, who your industry experts that you wanted to actually go ahead and tap into.
Right.
And when you understand that particular market, when you have a focused approach, okay, this is where I wanted to focus, everything else will fall into place automatically.
So this is a founder's approach or a sales leader's approach? I mean, there is definitely,
Both, I would say.
right. But do you, when you're trying to hire a leader or a sales guy, let's not even take a sales guy, let's say sales leader.
Sure.
When I want to bring a sales leader, and I've been figuring out with a lot of things in business. So then I figure out, hey, this is a great space, not too many competition, a lot of money is there, people want to solve this problem, I can solve it, great fit. This is something everybody wants to find.
Sure.
It's not really
Very good question.
sounds interesting, but it's not
Yeah.
not an easy thing happens for anybody, right? And if you want to find that, then it's like a gold. We all want to find the gold.
Yep.
So should I find the my problem is I have 100 responsibilities. I couldn't do more in sales. I can bring a sales leader. My goal, even if I bring a sales leader, I'm looking for my sales leader. Should I look for a sales leader to identify the gold mine for me, or help me scale from what it is there?
Depends. Once again, right? A use case like
Look, how founders come to you, how different executives come to you.
both ways, right? It's a very funny question in a way, right? You can actually go ahead and see, into LinkedIn, there might be looking for a head of sales. Should have been generated $5 million, $8 million revenue in a year. Should be handling and generating. The first quarter you need to generate $5 million. So what a sales leader will think, looks like they have a mature product. But hey, $5 million is not a job. What are you saying? Let me go and talk to the founder. Series B funded, fantastic. Let's go. So please tell me, how can I get you the $5 million? You tell me how. What do you mean? I tell you how to get the $5 million, right? So it is a team effort at the end of the day. It is not like a lot of these founders have this preconceived notion that what, if only I had this particular sales skill or someone with that particular sales skill, I will be able to go ahead and crack down and be able to win more, right? But what a lot of people don't understand is these sales leaders don't come with a magic wand where they just come ahead and change everything in a jiffy, right? It really doesn't happen that way.
Right.
It has to be a team effort altogether.
Yeah.
So we need to. So it is more than an interview right now, right? So when you actually go ahead and get into a startup, and probably you're one of the first sales leader over there, and it should and this is again goes down to the candidates or people the sales leader who wanted to get into a startup or stuff like that. It is not an interview any longer. It is a discussion that you're going to have with the CEO to understand what their vision is, how much they have penetrated into the market, what is their forecast for the FY year, how things are going to happen that way, which markets they're going to roll after with. A lot of these questions, the founder or the CEO might not even been introduced to.
Yeah.
Correct? Most of the time, and it is okay, because a founder need not know to have all knowledge on all of that. But you as a sales leader should be able to go ahead and tell, hey, these are the things, that we need to figure out first before we even start talking about targets, start talking about forecastable measures of, hey, I can actually expect this amount of revenue to happen in Q4 or things like that, right? You actually build all of that. You ask that for the CEO, and that's when you build it. It's not like Jerry will come and then from the next day we are going to start selling. It never works that way. Right?
True. Yeah, that's there. So as a sales leader, I mean, this is so much. I think you can. The more I get into, I can dig in. You'll give me more funny stories, because people come with unrealistic expectation is one, right? Why honest? So when there is an expectation, obviously there's an expectation on the other side as well.
Sure.
Right? And talking about notions, especially sales, right? Sales leaders really hard to find great leaders, and even finding sales talent. So just to give a background is, we built a company called Adapt before this, Adapt.io. It's like a Zoom Info, Lucia,
Sure.
Apollo kind of product. Data, email, phone number, database. And if you're growing really good,
Sure.
the problem that we had is, and we had amazing engineers. It was in Tier 2 city in Coimbatore. And we were trying to find good sales talent. We were trying to find SDRs and AEs to sell to. We were selling obviously to US, and which was self-serve, inbound driven.
Sure.
And when we are trying to find the sales people, sales roles, or the marketing roles, because we are competing against top Silicon Valley giants,
Sure.
not able to find a good talent at all.
Sure.
This was my honest. We went. I'm not belittling anybody there. I mean, Tier 2 cities, people have great talent, but I think engineering is exceptional, especially Coimbatore, where it was exceptional engineering talent. But the sales, it is the sales. It's not about faking an accent talking to you.
Totally.
That is not sales I'm talking about. And sales, how sales is seen itself, right? Itself is like, they belittle the whole sales thing. Oh, you're sales guy. You must be selling mats at the door. Right? That is what they see. Don't see. If you ask the most two powerful roles in the world you want to be, in terms of professional, sales guy or an entrepreneur. Because both can make a huge amount of fortune for you.
Absolutely.
Right? And you impact a lot of people. But we don't still see. A doctor and engineer is great, but entrepreneur at least to certain level. Sales, no, nothing. Sales, oh,
Yep.
You are selling broomsticks, right?
Yeah.
And this is the problem I had with Tier 2 cities. And Tier 1 cities, really good talent.
Sure.
Obviously, especially more than Chennai, I see Bangalore has a much better talent because of the crowd, because of the ecosystem, things like that. And if you go to the US, there's absolutely great talent.
Sure.
In terms of sales. So where I'm coming from is, US, there is this DNA and this whole culture is driven that way. So sales is really good. How we are strong in mathematical brain, so they call it show. Right? And in the US, and where we've been used to this ecosystem where in tech, move to India, sales, marketing, branding, keep it in the US. So this is a typical SaaS playbook we had from a very long time, even technology front. Now, there are so many products, and we are becoming so many products coming out of here in India and building in house. Especially even your case, you have a very good amount of team in the US, and you're building a team in India, things like that. Obviously, it's going to take time to ramp to that level of quality we get in the US, or how like Tier 2 cities trying to catch up with Tier 1 in terms of the sales and marketing talent is really hard. It's going to take time because you have to change the entire community for that. So, when you're hiring, comparing, because you cannot hire in the US, you're hiring in India, a Tier 1 city, are you making a compromise to the talent? Because the talent pool in US much better in sales. You're making a compromise, conscious compromise to hire in India. And how much of compromise do do you live with while hiring sales and building that? Because we want to be the top notch of sales, but you don't get the top notch talent,
Sure.
right?
Fantastic question, right? So I will answer this in two parts for you. And the first question with regards to, am I making compromise with regards to the skill part of it, right? The talent level.
Right.
I think it is a unfair comparison to compare someone in region in the US as a salesperson, who's coming with probably 2 to 3 years of experience, cold calling people, who talk the language, who understand the culture far better, compared to that versus to that of someone here in tier 1, tier 2, whichever tiers that you're talking about, who's completely foreign in all practical purposes as well. Not very established towards the US culture or the geography that you're catering into. I think it is an unfair comparison just on the communication part of it. But I think hiring a sales guy, it is not just with regards to, like you rightly mentioned it, it's not about the faking accent part of it,
Right.
or the communication part of it, right? I think for me, I personally believe, one of the toughest job in a corporate today is the sales function, right? And it can also be the one of the most laziest function in some big corporates as well, right? Maybe, your IBMs of the world or Infosys also of the world, where the brand just sells it for itself. But if you're going to be in a startup and if you're like, kickstarting your sales process, it is the grit and the rigor that you're actually looking out for in a salesperson, right? And this goes even if I'm going to hire an in-region salesperson in the US as well. So what is the point of hiring a 4 to 5 years of in-region sales guy, but does not have the grit or the rigor to, show that aggressiveness to go ahead and close those deals and, be on top of cold calling people, never shy away from that, and so many other different things, that I'm talking about. The same applies for me here when I'm hiring people here in India as well, right? Or Bangalore, or Chennai, or Coimbatore. You name it, and you can actually talk about it. Like, it's actually funny that you asked this question because I was talking to one of my old friend. We've also discussed about this a little bit before we started this podcast. There's a friend of mine called Kevin McAllister who lives in Chicago, who keeps talking about currency to me.
So currency, okay.
Yeah, he comes and asks me, what's your currency, right? So it's not Indian rupee or US dollar, right? The way you're talking about. So what is the currency is, what is important to me financially, which I have as a dream, that I think, it is going to be happening. We can be building a house, or, it can be buying your dream car, or, whatever it is, right? It differs. But when you, even in your interview process, there are ways that you can actually find that out, from the candidate that you're talking to. A salesperson's attitude is never about communication or, how they present themselves, which is definitely there, which I also think can be completely coachable. But the grit and the rigor and the hunger for success is something, that really does not, come as coaching part of it. That is something that I keep having a look at it, when I...
The personal trait.
Even that the personal trait. That goes with the teacher SDR, who I have, or...
Oh, that's interesting. We'll cover that. Yeah.
And if it's probably the dentist who wanted to choose sales as a career. Now, so why you wanted to...
Before you get there, so the very interesting stories. We have like 3 very interesting stories. We have the 18-year-old.
Yeah.
There's a teacher. There is a dentist. So we'll get to that story. Before that, and all these are freshers that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
100%. Okay. Now, based on what anyway, you're going to show this, share the story later. But when you finish the story, we'll talk about each one.
Sure.
And I want you to answer one question.
Sure.
What is that? Is do you, as a person, want to hire a fresher than an experienced folks, because you can groom them in a certain way?
Okay.
Is that you? Do you always prefer a fresher or a experienced salesperson, so that you can groom them really the way you want to see, because it is for the organization and we are helping them. End of the day, you are just helping them succeed better, right? And that has so many advantages. Obviously, lot of cost saving investment saves. That's great for any founder. Let's say I'll say, okay, please go ahead, hire as many interns you want, right? And second part of the question is, I'm an experienced sales guy, been in the industry in and out, and learning, worked really hard to get through my way. And people start looking into like this, and I'm losing an opportunity, right? How do I keep up myself so that Jerry will any day pick me over and fresher? Because I have so much advantage, but he's not hiring me and going for somebody else.
Sure.
It's not just a cost parameter, there's something else has to. So what should I consider to become that?
Sure.
So we'll get into the
The story is part of it later. But answering to this question, right, Prit, I think, for me, when I actually look at from my level as a bird's eye view or from a macro level, I really don't care if you're an intern, you're a fresher, you are coming from XYZ organization, you're coming from XYZ college. All of that, it's secondary or probably don't even matter to me. Okay. If you're a 2 to 3 years of experience of sales guy, and I kind of feel like, you're highly coachable and adaptable and have this constant learning mindset, which we talked about a little earlier, and, project a genuine hunger with regards to, trying to go in the career. You're a hustler, which we can naturally understand. You're probably hired already, right?
You
And
sound
that's
more like
great.
sports coach. That's what
Well, probably, right? Like, what is the point of getting, this is and it's very unfortunate, the talent pool that what we have, especially here in India, irrespective of whichever state that you're in, uh, and most of us will probably agree to this, right? Just take a typical Indian family house, right? Yeah. You study 10th, you will be great. Complete your 12th grade, you're fantastic. You go ahead and finish engineering, life is settled. Right? We have this settling mindset all the time. Right? And probably, we need to get to one plus slogan of never settling.
never settled it.
We now what happens, I have worked with too many salespeople, coming up with 1, 2 years, 3 years experience. They think they know everything in sales. It's just that. I come with 2 years of US calling experience.
Oh, you're saying that is the attitude?
That is the attitude. That is a mindset. And, there's nothing wrong in it, but that is not the end of the world, bro. It's just a drop or probably a quarter of a drop of, what you've just tasted. There's an ocean that we can swim across. But are you ready to take it?
Right.
Are you humble enough to go ahead and take that front? And I don't care if it's coming from a fresher. I don't care if it's coming from a dentist or someone who's irrelevant. As long as I find that coachability and the genuine hustle attitude that I have, let's start working on it.
Right. So these folks that you mentioned, especially all these, we are talking about SDR, that is openers.
Absolutely.
SDR.
Absolutely.
We're not talking about AEs.
No, not at this moment. No. Okay. And I think, for AEs to, but I think, you need to start somewhere. And an SDR is a great place to start because, you're going to be talking to a lot more people. That shyness goes away where you get completely relevant to, talking to the US folks and making these cold calls and having conversations, which is eventually going to help you to progress your career from an SDR to an AE, or whichever the career progression, that you want to take it forward for. But this is my personal belief. I don't think, a fresher AE will actually make a lot of sense, especially, if you're not relevant into that particular market or geography. The learning curve will be a lot more higher.
Right.
My advice is, be an SDR for 1 to 2 years and, you excel at what you're doing. You be comfortable, with regards to talking to people, asking those tough questions, groom yourself, and then get better.
Correct.
That's how I look into it.
Makes sense. Obvious sense, because if I'm AE and I'm getting on a demo call, I'm not doing a cold call. I'm getting a demo.
Exactly.
He's going to spend more than a minute.
Absolutely.
So I cannot mess up.
Yeah.
Odds of me messing up without any experience is very high.
Totally.
It makes sense. So we have, so again, coming back to talent pool, right? I asked whether you make a compromise, right? And talent pool, obviously in Bangalore is much better than the Chennai.
Sure.
And it's much several times better than the tier 2 cities.
Sure.
Too. And even if you see evolving, that I mean, seeing the pattern is, even tier 2 cities, there are very good companies. They're making good revenue.
For sure.
And it's not sales driven.
Yeah.
That there is no difference in what we are seeing as a pattern. There's no stereotypic, but there are talent from those cities, but they are in some other place.
Sure.
They've just taken the experience back
Sure,
to the town.
sure.
That's the
Sure.
big difference we are seeing. Now, in terms of sales in general, right? I mean, people looking at the video today would be wondering, why is this podcast about sales, right? Every podcast you see, it's about entrepreneurship. That is motivating. And there is other founders sharing their stories and especially cracking some exams and things like that. And sales as a country itself, we don't see it as a real. End of the day, I'm selling it to you, you're selling it to me. I'm trying to impress you, that means I'm trying to sell it to you. And we are all selling and buying. Every interview is selling and buying.
Yeah.
Right. So now, and I'm selling my time.
Sure.
Right. And things like that. Now, having said this, keep it very generic, and you chose sales for last 22 years?
20 years, 21 years maybe.
Yeah, 21 years. Yep. Choosing sales as a career, right?
Yeah.
As we discussed, like there are only two great options to make most money if you want:
Sure.
entrepreneurship or sales.
Yeah.
Right? But when you started, it might not be in that way. Maybe you were forced into it,
Yeah.
or by chance or by choice.
It just happened to me.
Okay.
It just happened to me. It was a very, very funny story. I had no idea what I should be doing in my life either. I was doing a lot of things, right? I wanted to be a cricket player. I wanted to get into movies.
Okay.
I wanted to write stuff. I wanted to sing. I wanted to do a lot of things, right? Never in my life I thought, I would end up as a sales guy. That is for sure. I never knew that, there was a career like salesperson. Like any typical Indian household, I was thinking, okay, you know what? Sales guy, sales representative, pharmaceutical sale.
Oh yeah, that is the most common.
Nah, that's probably not, right? But here's a funny thing happened. I finished my college. I didn't know what I should be doing. I didn't get placed in the campus. I'm a little below to an average kind of a guy. All of this were happening, but I was very fond of bikes.
Okay.
Okay. Opposite to my home, there was this mechanic guy, who was repairing bikes. And I was a friend of him because I love bikes.
Okay.
Right? Then I had a bike, and then, it was a Hero Honda Splendor. And in my street, I was the only guy who was having a bike, which is like mine, and I can go out at talking about 2002, 3 kind of a day. I had a best friend called Sriram.
Okay.
He's a neighbor. He was opposite to my house. I've lost contact with him. I hope, he sees this video, and maybe it'll be very funny. So he said, Jerry, I have an interview in Little Mount. So we were in Velachery. I have an interview in Little Mount. There's this company called 24/7. I'm not able to go. I don't want to go on the bus because my, tires will get a little dirty. Can you drop me? I said, okay. And I still remember this. It's such a photographic memory. I was wearing a dark green cargo trousers and a camouflage shirt. And it's like, that's how I was.
That's what you roll.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, come, Sriram, let's go. And then I dropped him. And then And then he said, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 hours. Why don't you wait in the reception?
Okay.
I said, okay, come. I came up. So it was in Temple Steps.
Okay.
There is this Temple Steps building in Little Mount.
Okay.
That's where 24/7 Private Limited was there.
Okay.
It was a call center.
Okay. This is back in
BPO. 2003 exactly.
Yeah.
And then I went in there. I was waiting in the reception. And then it was a walk-in drive. So there was a lot of people coming in for this interview. It's a telecaller interview to sell for Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan Chase.
Okay.
So where you will be selling credit cards. And then there's one HR who walked up to me and she said, are you here for an interview? And I said, do I dress like I'm here for an interview?
Okay. Costing, yeah.
Yeah. And then she said, would you like to interview?
Oh.
I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't have my resume. I was not prepared as well. But we can get your resume. We can get it done. If you're okay, you can.
Happy to talk to me. Oh.
I was like, okay, if you're okay with it, I'm just dressed like this. That's my only hesitation. But if you're okay, I'm fine. And then the interview whole thing happened. Those were the days we had this group discussions.
Okay, let me ask. How many people were there in shorts, trousers like you were?
It was a full cargo trousers, that I was wearing, not shorts, but trousers and the camouflage. I was looking very odd. Let's just say that dressed for the interview.
Okay. Most people with shirts.
Most people with shirts, tie, and very formal.
And you're
with camouflage t-shirt, right? Yeah, camouflage t-shirt and all of that. And then we went in and we interviewed, and I got the job. Sriram did not.
Oh my God.
Right. Probably that's why we lost contact. But that's how it started. That's how it started. I did not choose, and then there is this height that you get in sales, right? There is this appreciation, the
So the job you
the recognition.
No, just to connect with that story. So you got the job, she was upset and you face
Yeah,
more different directions.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and staying in the course, right? So you joined immediately.
I've joined immediately. The next day I was in. There was a cab which comes to my home and picks me up. It's all a different
It was like a privilege.
privilege. In 2003, I'm talking about, right? A lot of things, and the kind of culture, the people that you work with, and it is not Indian at all. That was my first job, and I started selling into the US.
Oh, okay.
It was a telecaller job, so it's like a dialer which throws machine. Only when somebody picks up the call, I get to talk.
Okay. Like a parallel dialer.
A parallel dialer today, right? And then I'm just randomly cold calling people, and I'm telling them, hey, I'm calling you from JP Morgan Chase, and you've been pre-approved for a credit card. And I tell the benefits of the credit card. If he buys it, I read out the terms and conditions. I made a sale.
Oh,
So I used to sell 20 to 25 credit cards a day,
wow.
and that's a lot, right? And I learned a lot from that experiences, right? Even then, I did not know I need to take sales as a career. I thought, maybe this is how life is going to be.
How long was it?
This was probably for 1.5 years in 24/7. And then 24/7 was acquired by a company called Aviva. And then I joined Sutherland, which was again a call center where we were doing a lot of customer service kind of a job.
That was an obvious choice for you.
Obvious, very obvious choice, because I did not have any direction with regards to what I should be doing in my career, which organization I need to join and all of it. Things were just going, and I was going with the flow.
Right.
Completely. It changed when I joined ComFu. There was this very small company called ComFu, and it was run by this gentleman called Rakesh Gupta, who's an IIT gold medalist from Delhi. And I had the opportunity to work right next to him.
Where was this?
This is in Chennai again.
Oh, Chennai. Okay.
Chennai in STPI, Software Technology Park of India, next to Tidal Park. And then that's where everything changed for, right? The B2B sales introduction happened from Rakesh at ComFu. And we were selling IT services to the US. And that's when, we talked about how we can penetrate, who you should be talking to, what you should be talking to, what are the sales processes that is involved. And it was interesting to the core, right? It is no longer like your regular pharmaceutical sales guy or cold caller or a telecaller as such. You automatically became a consultant right now,
Right.
right?
And what sizes were you selling IT services?
We were selling, the biggest deal that we closed there was like 80 grand, $80,000. And then we also had one more organization in the US in a different brand name called Emerald Health Services. So that's another funny story. These are experiences that you would never get, you don't go and pursue of that as well. It just happens. So what Emerald Health Services does is Emerald Health Services help hospital staffing. Okay, for the US. So one thing about the US is nurses are of humongous scarcity. Humongous scarcity. So they have different staffing plans for nurses. They have per diem, they have travel kind of deals. So what happens is, this is like a real Wall Street scenario kind of a deal, right? So as a health service, as an Emerald Health Service, you will have a set of per diem nurses. A per diem nurses or someone who tells that I'm available to work today.
Okay, it's on a daily basis.
It's a everyday basis, daily basis. So I'm available to work today. So say, for example, as a health service, I will have an ER nurse, I will have an ICU nurse, I will have a NICU nurse, I will have whatever nurses, the way you're talking about. And then my job was to call, say, for example, 100 to 150 hospitals in 1 hour.
Oh, 1 hour. Okay.
That is the staffing hour that we have.
Okay.
So a shift starts at 7 p.m. And my staffing hour is anywhere between 3:30 to 5 p.m. That's all. So I will be calling and I will have to tell them, hey, you know what? I have 2 ER nurses available today. You need them.
Okay, got it.
So I will be calling multiple hospitals, and somebody who returns and tells me, hey, book that nurse for me, then I will be negotiating the price. I will tell them, hey, this hospital is trying to pay this. If you give me $200, I will get this nurse for you. It is like real time hustle and all of that. Very interesting job to do, right? Being on the edge, trying to do stuff. So that's how it progressed from there.
So this is the same company or this different?
Same organization.
And you were doing both the roles.
Both the roles.
Because you had a specific timeline because you had nurses.
Yeah, that's just 1.5 hours, right? That's the staffing hour that we have, 3:30 to 5. You do that, and the rest of the day is like pretty much available. Where we go ahead and sell our IT services. We tried building a couple of products just to test market. So Compu was testing itself, and so was I. With regards to how I can actually excel in this.
So what title were you given there?
Nothing. I was just a team lead sales. That was about it. Even then, I didn't know that sales as a career can be really, really big, because I did not see myself that, right.
But how was the commissions? Was it very decent, very average?
Very decent. I get a lot of bonuses. I get a lot of kickers. That was really intriguing for me. And the more than that, I think the relationship what I built with Rakesh helped me a lot even today. As a matter of fact, he keeps more like a mentor. Who tells me how I should be shaping my career, what kind of opportunities I should be looking at, how I should look at a particular organization, and so on and so forth. So it's more than a money part of it. I think the relationship what I've built at Compu. I probably was there for 4.5 years, I guess.
Oh, that was the biggest sting. So the first one was 1.5 years. The second one was
1.5. I think Sutherland maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that.
This is what shaped the big part.
But I think those were the very beginning, early stages of my career, right? The call center part of it. As a funny fact, when I went for my visa interview in 2014, this was the first time I'm getting my B1, and then the interviewer asked me, "You've never been to the US. How are you going to survive there?" Told him, "I probably talked to a lot more Americans than you probably did in Mumbai. I don't think that's going to be a problem." I said, "Yeah, that's true. I can see that." And that's very true, right? That's how, and that has become a very, I'm very grateful for so kind of experiences, that I had. And things changed. I kind of feel like, Chennai got a little slower for me.
So all these time you were in Chennai. Even the third job was
in Chennai. After that, I was with Aspire Systems, which was again in Chennai. You would know Aspire Systems.
Yeah.
Very big organization in City City.
Yeah.
Very grateful again. Great organization. But it was getting a little slower for me in Chennai. And I thought, maybe the job market and the kind of people, the culture is much more better in Bangalore. I got an interview call from an organization called Kaseya in Bangalore here. They're in ITPL Whitefield. I was with Kaseya for a good 4.5, 5 years also over here.
Kaseya, what do they do?
They're into remote monitoring and management. It's again
for logistics?
No, it's for MSPs, managed service providers.
Oh, MSPs, okay.
Yeah, very similar to what Superoffice is doing Chennai, but at a much more bigger scale, right? Because Kaseya is one of the industry leaders and stuff. That's how Kaseya happened. After
Kaseya, what role were you doing?
So I joined there as an individual contributor in an account executive level for the first year, after which I started handling a small team. I cannot talk a lot about that because it's how can I say? It is a secret acquisition. A secret acquisition the company had, which we cannot talk about that in public.
You made it secret public again.
So that was happening, and that's what was happening at Kaseya. Kaseya was really fantastic. Consider your Wall Street in Bangalore, Kaseya will be that. You're having like 300, 400 salespeople under one roof, calling. There is no booths. There is no shying away. There are like people just
open floor.
Open floor, 300, 400 people just cold calling people and buying and closing and...
No, that is interesting. Like, what was the ACV there?
It depends. So Kaseya has got a lot of products, a lot of other different products, that, I think, the secret acquisition that I was talking about was very less. It was probably 2,000 to 3,000 grand. The main product, the VSA, was anywhere between an uptick of, 15K plus. And it goes on. All of that. Right.